What are your thoughts on the future of Threadripper? I already got burned on the first gen 1950X with basically no real upgrade path and motherboards that keep dying.
Okay. One of our topics for the show this week is actually Threadripper. So I'll answer your question first, and then I guess we'll get into Threadripper because I think they're going to be kind of related. I don't know. AMD has been so inconsistent in their support for the Threadripper platform. You identified one of the problems. Going from first-gen Threadripper to second-gen Threadripper, the core counts went up substantially. So all of a sudden, the VRMs for some of those first-generation boards were not designed for these new processors, particularly if you were going to really push them with multi-core workloads. Then things really hit the fan with Threadripper 3000, where AMD effectively admitted that the original Threadripper platform was not sufficient, released a new platform, but said, no, but this time, we're going to support it. There's going to be an upgrade path. Pfft, rug pull. We got nothing. Threadripper 3000 never got a mainstream upgrade. Instead, you had to go Threadripper Pro, which, you guessed it, got an entirely new socket and platform. So that's 4 generations of Threadripper. I'm talking 1000, 2000, 3000, they skipped 4000, and then 5000. So these 4 generations of Threadripper, 3 platforms, and Threadripper 5 was only Threadripper Pro. So now we get Threadripper 7000, yet another new platform. That is 5 generations of CPUs, 4 platforms. Intel at their worst would give you 2 generations of CPUs per platform. AMD is giving us 1.25. That is a terrible, terrible track record. With all of that said, who cares? Threadripper 7000 is awesome, and our review of it, I think, has a pretty intentional tone. We are tired of being just sort of cynical all the time. I think that it's exhausting for our team. I think it's exhausting for the audience. And what we want to do going forward is we want to get back to our roots, which for us, for me and the rest of the writing team, is just being excited about technology. And so if that means covering something that is super expensive and makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, but is really cool, then we're just going to do it. But in a different way than we might have done it in the past. Like before, we'd just do like, holy look at this thing. Whereas now, I mean, yeah, we've got the labs team to support it. So let's do a review. Let's review Threadripper 7000. But I don't want to get bogged down in, yeah, this thing makes no sense and no one should buy it. And you know what? All of that might be true. But what we always did in the past, and I think we kind of lost track of at some point, was we let you guys make that call. So sure, we do draw some conclusions in the video, but for the most part, we stick to the script. We go, here's what it is. Here's how it did well. Here's where it did not so well. And we think there are some challenges here, but at the end of the day, this is up to you to decide if you guys think that this is the kind of thing that you would like. However, what we've discovered is that not a lot of you are very interested in it. And honestly, I don't know what this means for the high-end desktop as a segment. Like when it went away, when AMD didn't bother refreshing Ryzen Threadripper 3000, I kind of went, well, this sucks, because now all of a sudden my choices are mainstream processors, which at this point have plenty of cores, but might not have the RAM support, certainly not multi-channel, like more than dual channel RAM, but even capacity. Might not have the RAM support that I would want for a prosumer workload, like video editing, for example, or running a small home lab where I might have a lot of virtual machines running. I need a lot of CPU cores, but I'm not doing anything serious on it, so I don't need a Threadripper Pro. I don't need an EPYC. And in some cases, EPYC doesn't even make any sense because the TDPs are so low, the clock speeds are so low. slow, and they don't support overclocking, those enthusiast features that tinkerers like to play with, right? So I was upset when Threadripper went away because it filled this niche perfectly. But then it went away for a generation, and now it's come back, and it's like stronger and more powerful than ever, but in a way that doesn't make any sense anymore. Like, it's got all the cores. It's got support for, I believe it's up to 1 terabyte of memory on the non-pro, on the like consumer Threadripper SKUs. But that's the thing, is Threadripper never needed that. That was never the point of Threadripper. It was supposed to be a little bit hamstrung. Oh yeah, the other thing Threadripper's always had is lots of PCIe lanes. You want to have a bunch of storage devices, or you want to have a bunch of peripherals connected to your system. You don't want them going through PCIe switches. Threadripper was the way to go. It was a PCIe switch. And the new ones have all of that, but they're at this price that just doesn't make any sense. Like, here, it's Black Friday, right? Let's go on newegg.com and search for a Threadripper motherboard. Here we go. Goodness gracious. Yeah, and then the Pro chips came out, and they were even more ridiculous. There's the 96 core for, I don't know, a cool 10 grand. Okay, where's the motherboard? Here we go. Yeah. Actually, that's not as bad as I thought. Yeah, okay, that's that's a board whose pricing I was familiar with. That's $1,000 for a motherboard.
This is not even .ca, is it?
This is Threadripper Pro, though. Hold on. Okay, so regular Threadripper. Here's oh man, I can't
you're
even.
On the American side. Then there's American dollars.
Yeah. Hold on. Where's
Sheesh.
here we go. Threadripper Pro. Oh man, the stupid chipsets this time. So they've got the workstation chipset. We didn't even get into this in the video because it's just like, realistically, no one's buying this shit. Who cares? But they've got 2 chipsets for the same socket, and then the Pro chipset supports only the Pro chips, but the non-Pro chipset supports the non-Pro chips and the Pro chips, but the Pro chips are kneecapped because they support more memory channels, but these boards don't. I believe they support more PCIe lanes, but these boards don't. So there would be kind of no point buying a non-Pro board and putting a Pro chip in it. But I mean, it's all obviously artificially locked down at that point. Yeah. You could, Intel has done it, although that was a mess. I shouldn't say artificially locked down. It probably makes sense to lock down those Pro tier boards from having the non-Pro chips in them, because you would have features that just don't work, slots that just don't work. Remember when Intel had those HEDT chips that, like, some of them had X number of PCIe lanes and some of them had X plus whatever. And so you'd put these chips into a board and you'd have this like complicated block diagram for like which slots didn't work or which ones operated at half speed when you had a certain kind of chip in it.
That's fun.
Anyway, my point is the 64 core Threadripper non-Pro. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. So the Pro is $73.49 on Newegg, and the non-Pro 64 core is $5,000. By the time you are spending $5,000 on a chip, presumably this is not enthusiast tier anymore. Remember when Intel launched Extreme Edition?
Yeah,
and it was like $1,000 for a CPU. Have you lost your fucking minds?
Outlandish.
Yeah.
They were actually very mad.
Like, don't forget, you still have to buy the rest of this computer.
Yeah.
Have you lost your minds, right?
Yeah.
This is $5,000 for a chip. That's not consumer pricing. That's not prosumer pricing. That's not enthusiast pricing. That's just nothing. That is business pricing. That is, I am making money with this machine pricing.
That's microtransaction gamer pricing.
And so at that point, and I kind of made this point in the video, what's the difference? You might as well just spend the extra $2,000 on the Pro one that has the extra security features, it has the additional memory bandwidth, it has the additional PCIe lanes. What I'm going to spend, there is no way that you are configuring a Threadripper, high core count system here, and you're walking away with a cart that's less than $10,000, not even close. And so by the time you're spending $10,000 on this professional workstation, presumably, that you're going to make money with, You're going to spend the extra $2,000. You're going to get the proper one because, of course, you are. If you wanted something that was good enough, you would have just gotten a Ryzen 7950X 3D and been done with it. It's 16 cores. It already does what you do. No offense.
Multiple of them.
Yeah. And if it doesn't do what you do, then you might as well get the good one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just don't understand. It just seems like a nothing product for nobody. And it sucks because Threadripper used to be really cool.
Yeah.
You know, like that was
OG Threadripper was like a vibe.
It was AMD's nod to the community that had supported them for all these years, continuing to buy their processors, even though they totally sucked. It was like an actual, hey, this thing doesn't make any sense. But here you go. You're welcome. Thanks for your support. Like I actually don't think there was a huge profit motivation behind Threadripper because it's pretty obvious as time has gone on that those kinds of chips would any fab time they have to build those kinds of chips would be better allocated to server chips. And they hadn't built up much market share in the server space at that time. So I guess it kind of made sense to just ship them as Threadrippers. But the second it did make sense for them to just build EPICs or build workstation chips, AMD completely forgot about us and was like, yeah, I don't know, it. If you want to spend $5,000 for a CPU, then I guess you can have it. But I don't know, man. I'm not into it. I don't think that you're being that cool about it. Of course, as we know, no company is your friend. AMD's not your friend. Intel's not your friend. Nvidia is super not your friend. And you know, the second they can charge more for something, they will. And what we need is competition. What we need is Intel to get their head in the game in the HEDT space, come after Threadripper. But the problem is that coming after Threadripper is like, honestly, probably kind of a waste of their time. Like, I think AMD is going to sell so few of these things because the pricing is out to lunch and makes no sense that Intel might not even identify it as something worth competing with. Man, like OG Threadripper was so cool.
They do.
I built a video.
There was so much hype around it.
A video recording server for that badminton center. Remember that?
Yeah.
During the COVID lockdowns, I wanted to watch my son's tournaments. And so I set up
which was awesome.
Local badminton center with with these SDI cameras on every court. And then we had it all, Brian the electrician and I actually wired it all up. And cool. I set them up with a system that was capable of processing all those video streams. And I had to be able to do more than just the 5 for the 5 courts because I had to be able to encode both for the stream and for the local recording in case they wanted to look back through it with the kids and, you know, go through like analysis of the gameplay and coaching and that kind of stuff, right? So I needed to be able to handle 10 concurrent video encodes. And doing that with a GPU, that is totally a possibility. Doing that with a CPU, that is totally a possibility. Guess what is the best solution in either of those cases?
Honestly, I was reading chat for a second.
Threadripper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got a couple at that time, it was a couple generation old Threadripper. I picked up a 1950X, which is like 16 cores. It's a lot of friggin' cores.
It was the best solution for actually a lot of stuff at that time. And it was very exciting. People were stoked when they heard that someone was doing a Threadripper project.
And more importantly, the 1950X had a ton of PCIe, so whether I wanted to put a couple GPUs in there, I could do that. Whether I wanted to do some CPU encoding, you know, maybe on, okay, this is like the showcase court where they put like, you know, the semis and the finals and stuff like that. You know, we could have a nicer encoding quality on that one. You know, right? I could do some CPU encoding as well. It gave me so much flexibility. And those things were affordable because they were affordable from the get-go and because AMD was doing so much and innovating so much when it came to adding core counts, when it came to delivering upgraded, newer CPUs that had all this PCIe on them. And I mean, nowadays, you go and you try and find like here, for crying out loud. You go and you try and find like a 3970X Threadripper and they are outlandishly expensive still. I was able to pick up that 1950X for next to nothing because AMD was still innovating and they were still shipping much better processors. Now you're expected to pay $1,300, $1,600. Oh, that's a combo. But you're expected to pay over $1,000 for one of these bloody chips because Intel just stopped. AMD just stopped. Yeah, see, I got them confused because they're behaving the same.
Yeah.
AMD just stopped innovating. And I don't count, we made it twice as fast, but it can now cost twice as much. I don't count that as innovating. Who do you think you are, NVIDIA? It's frustrating. And I guess that's all I have to say about that. Threadripper 7000, super cool as an enthusiast who doesn't have a budget. Am I going to put one in my computer? I mean, yeah, I got to heat my pool somehow, but would I actually recommend that anyone buy one? No, I don't think so.
It's interesting because you took that merch message so far that you actually did an entire topic that is in the doc.
I know. I told them I was going to do that. You were busy on your phone.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's okay. I'll just host the show myself today.
I fixed it, if that helps.
Oh, good job.
What was I going to say? We have one more. To do.
All right.
15 years of LTT. Let's go. What is something you wish
15 more
could be brought back from somewhere in the last 15 years to now?
I was going to say really wacky case designs, but I almost feel like they've leveled up.
I wasn't sure how to take this necessarily. Like, is this something from LTT or is this something from the industry?
I don't know. I'm gonna
take it however you want.
Yeah, I'm gonna play it kind of loose here.
Yeah.
Brought back from the last 15 years to now. Man, I wish that core unlocking was still a thing. Remember those crazy MSI, like copper shrouded golden edition GPUs? Like NVIDIA used to do wild stuff sometimes. AMD used to do wild stuff sometimes where they would, just to create product segmentation, they would manually lock off cores, or because they didn't hit their internal power draw or thermal targets or whatever, they would fuse off cores on GPUs or CPUs. But enterprising users would figure out how to unlock them. And in the case of that particular GPU, I think the unlock rate was like over 50%. So you could turn this like hobbled GPU into a full fat one if you were willing to just give it a little bit more beans, and it had this like great copper shroud on it that was able to handle the cooling no problem. I'm gonna see if I can find it.
A lot of people are saying GPU prices.
Yeah,
that's probably the like
prices is a big one.
What do you want for the world peace type of answer, where it's just like objectively correct.
Recognize this?
Yeah.
This is my video.
Yeah.
Of course. So it could unlock to a 470, I think. Yeah, today we are. 465 copper.
All copper.
Twin Frozer Golden Edition.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops, I
The Twin Frozer cards used to be so sick.
You can really tell where the cool stuff is going to happen right here. Right there. There it is. Oh, yeah. Here. Wait for the copper. Here it is. Man, all copper coolers. Okay, yeah. All copper coolers is another thing I would bring back. Apparently Thermalright just did like a throwback all copper cooler recently. Yeah.
That's pretty
Look at this. I just got it in my lap.
Yeah.
Man,
filming outside, dude.
What a professional. Look at this thing. That thing is sick. Hold on, where's the theater mode? Yeah, right, there you go. Oh, yeah. Oh, Twin Frozer. Man.
It looks so good.
Linus, can you hold it still for like 3 seconds? I'm trying to look at all the sexy copper heat pipes. Look at that thing. And you could unlock it for like extra CUDA cores or whatever. Run that thing in SLI. Let's go.
I think, okay, GPU prices, sure, I agree. But to throw a little bit of a curve, I'd say just overclocking in general is like not really that much of a thing anymore. And I think the experience of building a computer, a lot of it used to be like, okay,
tuning.
You did all the research, you bought all the parts, you got them all home, you put them all together. Now you got to make it really work, you know?
I mean, I do like things being a little easier sometimes when I'm in a hurry.
Yeah, but that's because you do it for work.
4 days ago, Thermalright announced this.
Wait, that's new?
Yeah, this is brand new.
That looks
so this
sick.
is like a throwback.
That looks awesome.
In fact, I believe this part number is even very similar to one of their old all copper coolers. This looks sick.
That looks great. But yeah, I don't agree. I think when things get too easy, they get boring.
I think you're being the Linux community right now.
Sure.
All right. Well, we're on the same page then.
Windows is boring.
Yeah, it's fair.
Fortunately
works
for
now.
me, I actually want Windows to be boring.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But I don't want my computer to be boring.
I see.
Yeah. If I'm actually interested in the thing, I want it to be kind of bad. Because then it's more fun. If I'm not interested in the thing, I want it to be great because I don't want to ever need to think about it.
All right, well, my brain hurts. Good stuff.